Good afternoon and welcome back to our channel on this fine day.
No, this is the BBC. Yeah, no, it's not. I need to lower that. I press out the curl in my head with some heat a little bit, but I'm not used to it, you know. So, hello.
Can
I help you?
Good come out.
So anyhow,
yeah, he likes races.
Stop it. So we left blazing, but blazing seems to be our pastime now.
Blazing, we're over it.
No, like we just like blazing, and
You
then
like blazing?
yeah, I like blazing. Then I leave and don't
Yeah.
come back for a while. So we'd like to talk today. I think we call this one more of a glow up because our glow ups are more like insight to our behaviour.
Traumas.
Yeah, why do we do things? And today it's about abandonment, or how abandonment affects the child developing into an adult.
Everyone in this room has a father, but everyone has a different experience with their father.
Let's go.
I could even talk from my perspective.
I was about to say that.
Because I've always had my stepdad as my father from young, but having my biological father disappear and be in and out, not really in and out, not even in, just
out.
like
at the beginning, like in the first year.
But even then, like even when he would take me for weekends, sometimes he wouldn't even turn up, or other times he would take me and then bring me to girlfriends' houses. I think I've mentioned this before on the channel, but
take you places,
just take me places and leave me and then go wherever he was going. But he was never really a part or present in our relationship. It was just more like he just came to do whatever he wanted to do and F off, basically. And it really did leave me a little bit like confused. I did judge myself or think it was my fault for the reason in him wanting to go away and not look after me. And it's quite sad.
Some of us had a peekaboo dad that was constantly in and out of their children's lives. Others had a hide and go seek dad. Dad, is he here? Mom, have you seen him? Was he here this weekend? Where is dad?
If I was to have a child, I wouldn't want this to happen to them because the effects of it can be quite damaging. It's mentally like taxing because you initially think it's your own fault or you caused them to leave you. And really that's not the case, they're just irresponsible.
When I was researching, you see, with me, like I've said before, with our first video, that I didn't know I was toxic. And I don't mean I was necessarily walking around like looking for trouble, but a lot of us don't know our own conditioning, as I've said before. And it took me a marriage that didn't work, and then another relationship where it was just continuous problems.
So, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
You look amazing. Both of you.
Thank you very much.
Good. Hope the channel goes well.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.
Just continue with the good vibes because
Yes, we're giving good vibes, it's fine. So I'm not sure what vibes we're giving today, but everyone just keeps stopping us or staring. It's very weird.
Yeah,
It sounds like you're being extra, but honestly it's been quite taxing. I feel like we're not.
Rihanna.
But what was I saying now?
Took a marriage.
Yeah, it took a marriage, it took a relationship, a long-term relationship, to realise that there was something wrong. I just said at this point you've got to address yourself, because normally what you do when you break up, you find the problem with somebody else, don't you? You find the issue with everybody else, or you say, I don't know.
No, please.
Bit of a weird one, it's live guys, so I'm not sure what's going on today. Maybe we're giving off God vibes. I hope so. So as I was saying again, I personally, I've always been like this, and I think a lot of the reasons why I take stock about my own behaviour is because I was always begrudged, scolded, told, I wasn't good enough, or, it was just always my fault, But for me, I used it to actually better myself. I'm very good at hearing criticism and going, okay, all right then, maybe it's true, let me see. And so when the second relationship happened, and I was just like, what? I don't even understand what's going on, but there were similarities. And so, like I said, if you go and watch that video, you'll get the full story. But narcissism came up, and I was like, oh my God, that's it.
It's right.
That's what it is. And then I started to think about my childhood, the people in my childhood, the relationships I saw growing up, and it made perfect sense. And so, in regards to how it affects you, first of all, you're conditioned. You're conditioned to believe that your environment is normal. Because it's normal to you. And then the reason why you blame yourself as a child, because you're not necessarily a narcissist, but you have certain traits because everything does revolve around you when you're a child. Your parents do whatever they need to do, and everything does. It's about you.
I've said with Daddy's looking after your safety. Please don't take your arm out of this. Please.
Okay, Mommy loves you, Daddy loves you.
Yes, we love you.
Can you give me kisses?
Yes, you won't take your seatbelt off. It's okay, let it out. It's okay. It's fine to cry. It's okay to cry.
You know, and so when good or bad happens, you think it's about you, and also you get your sense of self and validation from your parents.
Yeah, exactly.
So if they don't love you, then surely I'm defected.
Yeah.
It must be me.
You know what's weird about it as well is how most of the time this has already happened to the person or the parent. They've already had trauma and they pass it on to their children, knowing that how it felt at that time for them, which is like, it's sad.
Yeah, that's definitely
It's really
true.
sad to see, because it's just like, if you know and you felt it and you know the hurt, why would you go and inflict the same pain onto your children?
Because of your conditioning. You've never been taught any different. But maybe that's unfair for me to say, because in all intents and purposes, I purposely set out to be different.
That's what
but I wasn't though. But I wasn't, because I was conditioned. Because as much as I did what I needed to do in regards to making sure. Thank you. In regards to making sure that I was treating you like how I wanted to be treated.
Yeah.
It didn't change the fact that my foundation was what it
Broken.
was, and I didn't know it was broken. So sometimes when you're doing what you're doing, you don't even know you're doing it.
No, it's
And
true.
the thing is, like, the main thing is, do you have the awareness to know? That's where the problem really lies. And then when
some of them do know. And
well, I was
they're
about to say
choosing.
that when you do become aware,
Yeah.
it's up to you to say, okay, I need to fix this. And I think the reason why people don't fix it is because self-work ain't easy, you know.
No, it's like,
To really look at yourself and in an objective way, it's not easy.
well, especially if you practice certain things or have habits, or your life is just the same, or you're in the same environment, it just feels like, how am I going to change and be in the same environment?
You know what? From a child's perspective as well, like parents, if your parents aren't acknowledging the fact that there's an issue with them, then how are you supposed to address the problems within yourself? Because at that point, all of that molding, no, it's down to your parents to show you it's wrong. And that's why, okay, it was
But you think it's normal, because when you get into a next relationship, when you're older, you get into a relationship.
well, I'm still talking about in the situation where you're still a child.
Yeah.
You know, the effects. And also, okay, 'cause, you know, the last time we were talking about how fathers we talk about fathers not being there, and there's this common misperception that girls don't need their fathers, that if the father's not there, then they're all right because they've got their mom. But if the single mother has a son, then it really affects him more. But that's not necessarily true, because as far as I'm concerned, you need that balance. Either way, you need the balance, because girls are known to just argue with their mothers and not get along. you know, and you know, at the end of the day, if that was the case and it didn't affect the girls, then why would girls have daddy issues?
Yeah, exactly.
And how that affects a girl. And the thing is, although I had my stepfather, there were issues there because I knew I had a real father.
Yeah.
But
Same.
I didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
And people that knew him would be very, adults and children alike, are very insensitive.
Yeah.
And they'd say things like, I know your dad. I know your dad. I know where he lives. You look like your dad. And it used to, and it used to really aggravate me. But you knew who he was, though.
Yeah, no, but
You
they'd
had
be
to-
like, they see him, and I'd be like, okay, well, I haven't seen him in.
Yes,
You know what I
they
mean?
did, they did. Yeah. And people would come up and say things about
Yeah.
me that they heard him say, like, and definitely, I'm a big hoe, I'm a crackhead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, people like you don't understand that you give these men
Enabling.
an enablement to believe that it's okay to do what they're doing because, you
Yeah.
know, you didn't live in my house. I don't remember you being there every morning, afternoon or evening. I don't remember you being part of my finances. I don't remember sharing a family with you. So why are you in my business so
Or
hard?
even in my front.
Do you understand?
So,
And so sometimes they would say things because they've seen him.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you're insensitive to my child's right here and she's not seen him. Do you understand?
yeah, it's not even like they ask questions either.
yeah.
It's like you're throwing out his side because they love to do that. Well, you don't know my side of the story. But
In the
what were you
relationship, it was you and him and your child. Suddenly, everybody else is part of something they know
Yes.
nothing about, which is, to me, just, it's very odd. You've got to be a little bit mental.
What do you say? Flying monkey.
Flying monkeys. Something's wrong with you. You have nothing to do with anything. But even that affects the development
Yeah.
of the child because now, instead of it being insular, now you've got people on the outside involving themselves and adding to
The turmoil.
right.
And then also, well, my biological like to do things like look after other people's children and paint it out to be like a good person, a good father.
But you know what? I found a piece, a short the other day where a girl was saying, maybe I'll insert it, I find it, I think I said it, but she was saying, women, we need to be wise now because what a lot of men are doing, they're using their children to get dates.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and what she said was, so this guy invited her on a date, and she said, okay, I'll go on a date with you. And he said, do you mind if I bring my daughter? She thought, a bit weird, but okay. And then he brought his daughter, but when she met him at the park or wherever it was, the mother dropped her off. So she said, excuse me, do you mind if I talk to her for a moment? And he was like,
I would do the
he was
same.
caught off unawares. But he said, oh, okay. She went over to her. She said, hi, my name's blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm spending the day with your daughter. Could you tell me how often he sees her? And she said her first reaction was wordless, but it was she was like, she kind of like scoffed. Like, she says, no, what do you mean? She said, well, it normally goes when he's got a new flavour, he comes, he picks her up. And then, you know, that happens for a few weeks and then he disappears again. And she went, okay.
So bad.
She went, okay, thank you. And then so she sat back down. She said she didn't tell him what was said. She went through the whole meal. She was obviously nice to go. She said also she's a mother,
Yeah.
you know. So
And they're picky because they see
right.
the maternal as well.
right.
They're not-
And so we talk about single women have no use, and when you've got kids, there's a lot of men that prey on single women.
Yeah,
Not because they don't have use, because the woman is kind, she's nurturing, she'll have food in her cupboard.
I've got friends that say,
She'll have food in
I
her.
need to get a baby.
So all that shit about when the man leaves you, you've got no worth, and you know men want women that are having babies or but childbearing and all that is a bag of shit. If you've got money in a yard and you know how to cook, that's enough for some men,
Yeah.
right? And so she said goodbye and then she blocked him.
I would do the
She
same.
said, because we need to wise up, you know, because you'll get these women that think they're so special and they're around someone else's child like it's a game.
Oh, I'm the
Even
new
that,
stepmom.
look at me, I'm so sexy. The
Yeah.
child don't care about your sex appeal.
Right.
You know
Do
what I
you know
mean?
how bad that is though for the kid, because every single time he has a date, it's not even like it's a girlfriend, it's actually random women he's going on dates with and bringing his child on the date. It's just not cool.
Do you know what as well?
How does she view him?
She's just viewing herself as being like delectable. These
No,
girls
the
are stupid.
daughter-
Well, this is what I'm trying to say to you, because you know, because you've been there.
Yeah.
How did you view it? You said
gross.
right, it's gross.
gross.
And then that it skews your perception of a man. But then you also are still longing for this guy, and maybe you're longing for a perfect guy, which there isn't one. And so you don't know how to balance imperfection with perfection, like just normal human, not perfect behavior with their extremes. And then inadvertently you keep picking the same shitty guy.
Because you know what I've noticed, like when I see red flags, sometimes I just see it out. Like, let me see how far. I'll give you 3 strikes. But if it's like small things and they just turn me off instantly, I'll just cut it off. And sometimes I feel like I don't give people a chance.
Yeah, because you've been hurt.
And then other times I just give people too many chances, and I'm just like,
you see, like
how do you know who's genuine?
Like I keep saying, your foundation is the bed of all your insecurities, your traumas and your issues. And if you don't recognize them, you're going to take them into your adulthood, regardless. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then for boys, at the same time, like being with men who were abandoned in some shape or form, you know, obviously with your biological, his mother just got up one day and left him. She left him with a babysitter, and his dad had to run around the whole of the city looking for his son. You understand? And so his attitude was like, when we were getting married, well, I mean, I was saying you need to get to know her, because at the end of the day, if we're married, we're going to have children. It's imperative, it's important. But his attitude was, I don't miss what I didn't have. But then when she got her foot in the table, it was like she just took over. You know, she tried to, instead of trying to like appreciate the fact that you had a woman that said you need to get to know your mom and mend the relationship, it was an opportunity to step in and try and
push you out,
because she wasn't part of his development or anything, or the places. And so these are all the other issues, and then you've got to say, well, what was her issue growing up? Why was she like that? Do you understand? And so,
and then try to kidnap me as well.
Not tried, they did.
Well, but that inflicts drama in between you two, because he's trying to impress his
it's a
mother,
willing participant because he wants the love from whether he recognises that or not.
It's not good.
And so I remember another man saying the images that they always recall of their dad when they got together was him there was always a new woman, you know. And so in that boy's head, whether he realizes it or not, he brings part of that into every relationship, that a woman is just, he's not, even if he's there with them, he's not fully committed, because in his mind there's something else he's missing out on.
Exactly.
You know, and these fathers, they say things inadvertently like it's a game, you know. And so they've got no respect for women.
Definitely.
Anyway.
And you know what, I was watching this thing, this little TED talk, and this guy was talking about like fatherless or abandonment issues, and he's talking about the 4 different types of fathers. I think there was invisible father, where it's someone that's a father that's not even in your life, but you have a dad, obviously. There's an angel father, which is where obviously your father's passed away or gone for whatever reason. And there was an in and out father, or hopscotch father, where he comes in and leaves, or he doesn't even turn up when he's meant to turn up, and that causes a lot of turmoil. And then there was another father where they're present, but they're not physically, like they're not mentally present or emotionally present. And he was just showing like the statistics of how most children they have issues integrating into society. Sometimes they have anxiety.
A study from the University of Sydney shows that repeated ostracization can lead to the development of depression, eating disorders, and even suicide.
They find it hard to work within jobs and stuff. Some of them don't pass school or pass uni and things like that. There's just a lot of failures that can occur with having a fatherless childhood. So he was just showing all the damaging effects.
Because like you see, people only address certain things to adults, but you see, the number one thing that this drives in a child is anxiety. You
that
become
does a-
very
that does a
anxious.
lot.
Yeah, you're very anxious. Whether it's you're trying to always be noticed, because some parents have this attitude that they use, which is there's a name for it. Men and women use it in relationship where they silence you.
It instills self-esteem issues. Have you begun to constantly criticize yourself? Are you apologizing for every little thing? A cold shoulder is a very active way of demeaning someone and telling them that they're worthless, regardless of the intention. It invalidates their opinions, thoughts, and emotions.
They use the silent treatment. That's it. Which actually,
It's kinda
people
like
in
voting.
war say that it's one of the worst ones.
yeah.
They actually use it as a method to get people to talk. So you throw you in a cell, and they just don't mean if you shout, you scream, and leave you there, you know. And so you're never heard. And then so that drives this thing in you.
People-pleasing.
You're people pleasing,
Yeah.
yes, or you feel that your needs you're inadequate, but your needs don't need to be met.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
all you need to do is sit down and be quiet. And you know, the weirdest thing is there's a statement that lots of people use, which is a child must be seen and not heard.
Yeah.
Do you know how many parents are allowed to abuse their
That's so
children based
bad.
off that one
Yeah.
quote?
Study from the University of Sydney shows that repeated ostracization can lead to the development of depression, eating disorders, and even suicide.
So you know, of the one quote, you're too old to be telling me how you feel. Shut your mouth. You're too old. So it doesn't matter what I'm doing. Whether I'm ignoring you, abandoning you, hurting you, lying to you, because you're a child, you need to shut up.
Number 5, it produces physical pain. Do you often feel physical discomfort? Scientists have shown that when you experience the silent treatment, the anterior cingulate cortex, a region that distinguishes levels of pain, becomes activated. As a result of someone's cold shoulder, you may experience digestive issues, headaches, or aches in your back or joints.
Do you understand? And then you tell your child, if somebody says to you not to tell me something, you don't listen to them. There was an advert growing up for Childline,
Yeah.
and it was based off the fact that you could have adults in your life that tell you to be quiet, or they kill you,
Yeah.
or they do something to you. The whole time they're abusing you, and not to be silent. But your parents drive that into you because they tell you to shut up. When you feel emotional, shut up.
Yeah.
When they beat you, shut up,
Yeah.
be quiet. And it's not on the back of you were told already, no, don't do this because blah, blah, blah. It's just
Or even just being happy, because some parents are like that.
Yeah.
They don't like their kids to be happy.
it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what a lot of people don't realise is inadvertently they are they're preparing their children to be in abusive relationships. They don't realise it.
What? I know, bro. You all right, dude? Bro, that's not good, bro. Damn, dude.
In regards to resolving the situation, personally, what I had to do, I had to practice. Before even practicing, I need to acknowledge what was wrong, because it's very easy to say, it's them.
Yeah.
I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I'm so kind, I'm so empathic, I'm all of these things, which you are, but that doesn't, all of those things do not correlate to being a walkover,
Yeah.
or to being a victim, or to not speaking up, or to not putting your feelings before others, because you've got to practice, really, honestly, it sounds cheesy, but self-love.
Yeah, I was gonna
You've
say.
got to practice putting your wants, your needs, your feelings first. It's hard initially, because especially if it's in your nature to help people. All right, my nature, like I said, my stepdad always said to me, which is my dad, you're a sucker for a sob story.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't realise how in my life
Poignant.
it was very poignant. And so you have to, or I had to acknowledge that. And so some of the ways of me dealing with that is to, now I'm like, well, you only help people that deserve your help.
Yeah.
Because before you were just helping everybody. You understand? And then they were shitting on you.
And sometimes you have to watch other people's patterns, or what,
That's
like
it.
figure out your own
Definitely.
patterns first, but then watch theirs, because some people, they see how you operate and then they'll just like play on it.
And the thing about love is, love leaves you open and susceptible to all
Makes
kind of
you do
listen,
crazy things,
think about
man.
it, think about it. Even the people that say they love you, you know, you can have people that love you but they're jealous of you,
People that love you hurt you the most.
right? Plotting to all kind
Right.
of scheming and plotting,
That's what I'm
trying to
saying.
put something in your drink because they don't want you to go with somebody else, even if they don't treat you properly.
That's just a no.
Like love. People get all giddy with love, but you are the most vulnerable when you love somebody. And that's when there has to be a balance. You can't be all so caught up in love that you don't acknowledge the fact that feelings change.
Yeah. But
You
this
know.
is why people have like commitment issues as well, because maybe they've been through trauma like this, or they've had a certain experience which has really made them guarded, but it makes them push everyone away or just not open up.
And in the extreme, you want everybody to love you because that's what you feel that you're lacking, because you feel that love you didn't get from one of your parents or both is the one thing that you need.
Every girl still wants to have their father in their life, regardless of
The relationship.
regardless of the relationship with another person. Like, how can I, like, if I know, I know.
But it never is, because you can have both your parents in your life, or and still be empty, you know. So it really all starts with you. You have to acknowledge your own patterns, your own conditioning, and read. People don't like to read, man. Read. You got to read yourself.
Stigmatize women moving on. Y'all want us to settle for less so bad. And when a woman doesn't settle for less and she knows when to zip and zap and dip and dive, you're like, oh, she's a slut because you're not good enough for her. Now she belongs to the streets. And it's always the men with 17 kids talking about you belong to the streets. Bro, you are the streets. You are the dirty, nasty, rat infested. You're a rat carrying a pizza on a subway in New York. Like, you are the streets.